It was just another late shift at Westlake Memorial Hospital, where I had been working as a security guard for almost 3 years. Nothing prepared me for what happened on the night of October 17th. The hospital had been undergoing renovations for months, with the 5th floor completely sealed off. No patients, no staff, just construction equipment and plastic sheeting. My supervisor had emphasized during briefing that the floor was strictly off limits after 8 p.m. due to insurance regulations. Around 2:30 a.m., I was making my usual rounds when the radio at my hip crackled. "Security, please respond to a noise complaint on 5 possible trespassers." The voice sounded like Meredith from dispatch, but something about the timbre felt off. "Copy that," I replied, hesitating slightly. "But I thought 5 was closed for renovations." No response came back. Just static. I called dispatch directly. "Hey, did you just request I check floor 5? "Negative," came the response. "Our system shows no calls from this station in the last hour." A chill rippled up my spine despite the building's overwarm heating system. Protocol dictated I report the incident and continue my regular patrol, but curiosity gnawed at me. Someone had called on my radio, someone who sounded almost like Meredith. The elevator bank stood empty at the end of the hall, its buttons glowing softly in the dimness. Against my better judgment, I pressed the button for the 5th floor. The car arrived with a gentle ding, doors sliding open with an invitation to step inside. The ride up was silent, too silent. The usual mechanical hum of the elevator seemed muffled, distant. When the doors parted, I was greeted not by construction materials and plastic tarps, but by a fully furnished hospital corridor, pristine, operational, impossible. My flashlight beams swept across immaculate tile floors, a nurse's station with active computer monitors, medication carts positioned by doorways. Not a speck of dust, not a sign of construction. The hall stretched longer than I remembered, doorways lining both sides. "Hello?" My voice sounded flat, absorbed by the walls themselves. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered once, then stabilized. I took a hesitant step forward, my footfall echoing strangely. The sound seemed to come back at me a split second too late, as if the floor were processing my movements. The smell hit me next, antiseptic, but underneath it something else, something earthier, more organic, like wet soil after rain. Each room I passed appeared prepared for patients, beds made with hospital corners, monitors beeping steadily beside empty pillows. Room 507, room 509, room 511. The numbers weren't right. Our hospital had standardized numbers, even rooms on the right, odd on the left. But here all the numbers I could see were odd, and they all appeared on the right side. At the nurse's station, charts were arranged in perfect rows. I picked one up, flipping it open. The patient name read Thomas Wade, my name. The admission date was tomorrow. The diagnosis field contained just one word: returning. The air grew heavy, difficult to pull into my lungs. The sound of my breathing seemed to come from somewhere else in the corridor, following me with a delay. A phone at the desk rang, its shrill tone cutting through the silence. Once, twice, 3 times. My hand hovered over the receiver, trembling slightly. On the 4th ring, I answered. "Security," I managed. "Please return to your station," came the voice. My voice, but distant, processed through some kind of filter. "The patient in 515 is waiting for you." I dropped the receiver, backing away from the desk. The corridor seemed to stretch as I moved, the distance to the elevator growing impossibly long. Behind me, I heard the soft squeak of rubber soles on tile. When I turned, there was nobody there, just an empty wheelchair, its wheels slowly rotating as if recently abandoned. Room 515 stood at the end of the hall, its door slightly ajar. A glow emanated from within, not the harsh fluorescence of hospital lighting, but something softer, warmer, something that didn't belong. Every instinct told me to run, to find the elevator and never return. But my feet carried me forward step by reluctant step until I stood before the door. I pushed it open. The room contained no hospital bed, no medical equipment, just a wooden chair positioned before a large mirror. And in that mirror, I saw myself seated in the chair, staring back with a gentle smile. Except I wasn't sitting. I was standing in the doorway. My reflection raised a finger to its lips, then pointed to the chair. I backed away, turning to flee, only to find the corridor had disappeared. In its place was a second door, identical to the one I'd just entered through. When I opened it, I found myself back in the patient room, facing the mirror and empty chair once more. The third time I tried to leave, the door opened onto the hospital lobby. Relief flooded through me as I stumbled toward the front entrance, ignoring the confused looks from the overnight receptionist. I quit that night, left my uniform on my supervisor's desk with a hastily scrawled resignation letter. That was 3 weeks ago. Yesterday, I received a letter from Westlake Memorial, a job offer for a security position, the same position I'd just quit. The starting date was listed as October 17th, the night I'd visited the 5th floor. This morning, I woke to find myself wearing a hospital gown. The room number on my wristband reads 515. I'm still waiting for someone to answer my call button. If you enjoyed this creepy tale, please hit the like button, subscribe for more chilling stories, and leave a comment letting me know if you'd check out that mysterious 5th floor. I never should have bought that old radio at the estate sale. The elderly gentleman running it practically forced it into my hands, his eyes darting nervously as he refused to take my money. "Just take it," he'd said. "Been trying to get rid of it for years." The antique shortwave radio was a beautiful piece, 1940s manufacturing with polished wood casing and brass dials that turned with satisfying precision. As a collector of vintage electronics, I couldn't believe my luck. That first night, I set it up in my apartment's small office, plugging it in and turning the dials experimentally. Static crackled through the speaker, a gentle hiss like distant ocean waves. I spent hours scanning frequencies, catching fragments of weather reports, ham radio operators, and once what sounded like a broadcast in Russian. Around 3 a.m., exhausted but reluctant to stop, I reached the end of the dial. And then something strange happened. The dial continued to turn, clicking past what should have been its mechanical limit into an unmarked section of the frequency band. The static changed. No longer random noise, it developed a rhythm, a pattern, like breathing. "Hello?" The word emerged from the speaker, so clear I jumped in my seat. A woman's voice, soft and uncertain. "Is anyone there?" I hesitated, then pressed the transmit button. "Yes, I can hear you." The static pulsed, then, "Thank God. I've been trying to reach someone for so long. What year is it there?" 2023, I answered, a knot forming in my stomach. "What do you mean, there?" 2023, she repeated, a note of disappointment evident. I was hoping for later, much later. The static intensified, washing over her words in waves. I adjusted the tuning, attempting to clear the signal. "Where are you?" I asked. "Home," she replied, her voice now tinged with something like sadness. "Always home. The doors are all locked now, the windows too, but the radio still works." The radio grew warm under my fingers, warmer than any vacuum tube set should be. The wooden casing seemed to pulse slightly with each burst of static, like something breathing inside. "What's your name?" I asked. "Sarah," she responded. "I've been here since the summer of 1956. The broadcast never ends." I should have unplugged the radio then, should have recognized the wrongness of it all. Instead, I asked, "How can I help you?" The static cleared completely, her voice suddenly so crisp and present, she could have been standing beside me. "Just listen. No one ever just listens." So I listened. For hours. She told me about the house she'd grown up in, the record player in the corner that only played one song, the window that showed a different street depending on the time of day, the photographs on the wall where the faces changed when you weren't looking. "They're watching me now," she whispered eventually. "They always know when I've found someone." "Who?" I asked, leaning closer to the speaker. "The people in the walls," she replied. "They're made of static. They've been recording everything, cataloging it." The radio's casing now felt hot enough to burn, but I couldn't bring myself to pull away. "What do they want?" My voice sounded distant to my own ears. "Connections," Sarah said. "Doorways, like this one." The speaker popped loudly, and a burst of acrid smoke curled from the radio's vents. I jerked back, finally breaking contact. "They're coming through," her voice had changed, multiple tones layered on top of each other. "Don't you hear them? They're already there with you." The static crescendoed, and within it, I began to make out voices, dozens, hundreds of them, all speaking at once in a cacophony of languages and tones, begging, threatening, pleading. I reached for the power cord, but before I could unplug it, the radio dial began to spin on its own, whirling faster and faster until it was just a blur of motion. The voices merged into one terrible sound, a sound that had weight and presence. My apartment lights flickered, then went out completely. In the sudden darkness, the radio's dial glowed with an impossible light, casting long shadows across my walls. "They're coming through," Sarah's voice whispered beneath the storm of static. "I'm sorry." The radio fell silent. The power returned. Everything appeared normal, except the silence in my apartment wasn't complete anymore. If I listened carefully, especially late at night, I could hear faint whispers coming from inside my walls, fragments of conversations, names, pleas for help. Yesterday, my neighbor asked if I'd gotten a pet. "I keep hearing voices from your apartment when you're not home," she said, her brow furrowed with concern. "Last night, I found scratches on the inside of my closet door. This morning, my mirror showed a woman standing behind me, her mouth moving silently, urgently trying to tell me something. When I turned, no one was there. And now, as I write this, my new phone, which I've never used for anything but calls and texts, has just turned itself on. The static is coming through its speaker. I need to go now. Someone's knocking on my door from the inside. If you found this story chilling, please hit the like button, subscribe for more terrifying tales, and leave a comment about your own encounters with strange radio broadcasts. The first time my sleep tracker app showed a category it called unknown activity, I didn't think much of it. Technology glitches all the time, right? Just a software bug in need of an update. But then it happened again the next night, and the night after that. Always at exactly 3:17 a.m., lasting precisely 8 minutes. The app's sleep analysis showed a pattern unlike anything in its recognition system. Not quite awake, not REM sleep, not deep sleep, just unknown. I'd always been a data junkie, the kind of person who tracked everything: steps, calories, heart rate, sleep cycles. The Sleep Sentry Pro app had been my favorite discovery, promising insights into sleep patterns with military-grade accuracy. It recorded ambient sounds to detect snoring or sleep-talking, monitored micro-movements through the mattress sensors, and even measured the room's temperature fluctuations. After a week of these unknown activity readings, curiosity got the better of me. I set up my old phone to record video of myself sleeping, positioning it on the dresser with a clear view of the bed. The footage from that night showed nothing unusual. Just me, lying still beneath the covers, breathing rhythmically. But at exactly 3:17 a.m., something strange happened on the recording. The image distorted slightly, digital artifacts crawling across the screen. The timestamp continued running, but for those 8 minutes, the video showed only corrupted data. I upgraded to a better camera the next night, one with infrared capabilities for night vision. Again, the footage corrupted at precisely 3:17 a.m. By the third attempt, I had a professional security system installed, motion sensors, multiple camera angles, backup power supply. When I reviewed that footage the next morning, my hands trembled so badly I dropped my coffee mug. At 3:17 a.m., the infrared showed a temperature anomaly forming above my sleeping body, a human-shaped outline slightly warmer than the ambient air, hovering approximately 2 feet above me. For 8 minutes, this heat signature remained perfectly still, positioned directly over my chest and face, before dissipating. I was still trying to process what I'd seen when my phone pinged with a notification from Sleep Sentry Pro. Your sleep insights are ready. Tap to view a personalized message. I'd never received a personalized message from the app before. My finger hovered over the notification, hesitating before I finally tapped it. The screen opened to a plain text display. We've noticed unusual patterns in your sleep. Would you like to optimize your rest experience? Reply YES to accept. Something about the wording felt off, too informal for a health app's typically clinical tone. Still, I typed YES and pressed send. The app immediately closed itself, then reopened to display a single line of text. Thank you. Calibration will continue. That night, I couldn't bring myself to sleep in my bed. I crashed on the couch instead, leaving my phone in the bedroom with the camera rolling. At 2:59 a.m., I jerked awake, gripped by unexplainable dread. I grabbed my laptop and connected remotely to the bedroom camera. The feed showed my empty bed, the room still and silent. At precisely 3:17 a.m., the temperature anomaly appeared again, but this time, without me beneath it. The human-shaped heat signature hovered over the empty bed for a moment before turning its head directly toward the camera. The feed cut out. My phone, still in the bedroom, began to ring. The caller ID showed only sleep analysis in progress. I didn't answer. Instead, I grabbed my car keys and spent the rest of the night at a 24-hour diner. In the morning, I returned home and found my phone's screen filled with missed calls, all from numbers that were variations of my own. Each voicemail contained only static, except the last one. In that final message, beneath the hiss and crackle, I could make out words spoken in what sounded like my own voice, heavily distorted. The data is corrupted. Subject is rejecting calibration. Recommend full reset. I deleted the app immediately, then performed a factory reset on my phone for good measure. That night, I stayed at a hotel, leaving all my devices behind except for a new, prepaid phone. At 3:16 a.m., that new phone, which I'd never connected to any accounts or previous data, received a text message. Sleep analysis will continue regardless of device. Your participation is appreciated but not required. I've tried everything since then. I've slept in different locations, avoided all electronics, even consulted sleep specialists who found nothing physically wrong with me. But every morning I wake exhausted, with vague memories of standing over myself, watching my body from above. Last week I received a paper letter with no return address. Inside was a printout of my sleep data for the past month with a handwritten note. Algorithm complete. Your data has been successfully integrated. Thank you for your contribution to the collective. I don't track my sleep anymore. I don't use apps or smart devices, but sometimes when I'm drifting off, I feel the mattress depress slightly, as if someone has just sat down beside me. And sometimes I catch glimpses of people in crowds who move just like me, speak with the same inflections, but whose eyes reflect nothing when they briefly meet mine. The algorithm doesn't need my permission anymore. It has everything it needs. If you found this story disturbing, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. sharing what technology makes you feel uneasy. Sweet dreams.